Hello, there's an Andrew Weissman, and there is with MSNBC who has rules with FBI, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants and their lawyer have rules at West Hartford locations, having affected confessions and requests to help from me, from people from intercities, Connecticut, who also have rules with Wethersfield families, interbranch and intra-branch, with identity theft, fraud, slanders with other countries at the same time, and overt criminal enterprises and private ones. They have been forging and switching names as wire crime acts and methods that are recorded because there is not just FBI corruption, and it is and has been used remotely criminally foreign influence. They never had integrity because we have black people's rights of eyes, and that is inseparable from treatments of criminal influences, to use a phrase of the law. I'm not even a lawyer. Lawyers, all sides of criminal and civil cases. A Trantolo has a numbers of capacities of roles with judges and courts and their family members, and with WFSB, Connecticut Channel 3 News, all along road and conjunction with them, collusions with predicate acts, with federal evidences, crime acts and methods, changing and faking people's short words, and then making it seem like they had conversations and things where they were not, where they were planting evidences, fake motivations for it, where they have roles with a whole bunch of different countries, a whole bunch of ways they are being have been used remotely, criminally, foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw. Lawyers that have been advertising through the news locations with their sources, planting predicate acts at scenes of crimes and along streets near their houses, at corners of streets all along Route 175 where people are involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders with the news locations with the FBI. WTNH is right next to the FBI in New Haven, Connecticut, is involved increasingly with people involved with former director of the FBI, with and as former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his roles with nonverbal confirmations to me. Also as roles with a whole bunch of people next to Fox Connecticut News involved in Hartford, Connecticut, involved with and as Wethersfield Police, involved with other police forms, with predicate acts together, whole predicate acts methods together. Rick C. M. Paglione recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Mike Levine has roles with a whole bunch of people tied to a Debbie Gold and a Rick C. M. Paglione and a Bryant family with a whole bunch of different police departments, also with ones with the name Cololo, involved planting evidences through time. And they try to take a picture, not even talking. They had some people like a Chick Casper and a Mike was made. We're supposed to make it look like we're acting to make it look like we were speaking near the state capitol. That was a fake exception. They were acting for other people to record things, apparently. Because increasingly, people with the state capitol in Hartford, Connecticut, and people with campuses have been making confessions to me, tied to a Chuck Casper, too. And then he made nonverbal confirmations. Also with the Thaddeus Grabowski, who made verbal ones, repeated to me, confessions in the form of a statement and demonstrations of his roles with an Allison Mulcahy, who's involved with people on that have been speaking with locations like all along Hangdog Lane and its conjunctions. People involved with a former Mayor Gold, involved with also with my algebra teacher repeated sexual things about, I don't know if they're true or what, about my neighbor and about her religion being Jewish like her own. With a Mike Domain also recorded involved with people that repeated the word Jew and things like that. We're not around him because I don't even know him. Only time I know is Mike Domain. He's recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed with federal evidences, crimes, rolls with it, including with the FBI director, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, increasingly involved with it. Former standing chairperson on the Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. And Fox Connecticut News is right there with the highways separate the north end of Hartford from, you know, the capital area, and then from the south end of Hartford, which is right there together. In other words, just a little from that little spot. The south end's connected to, but not the north end. And the north end was designed more so by a breaching method than before America's founders were born. Everything was designed to unfold where the suburbs were designed tactically denatured and our value nature systems tactically ulterior from nature's. And so they would use those value nature. They forced Native Americans against Native Americans because they were no choice. Because they were, in other words, the words that were obligated to them are to use the nature that are is forbid them because it's forbid everybody too. That's what, and that was sustained. And then Christopher Columbus came over. There are proofs of this. That's why it's important not to obfuscate evidences with history. If there's a statue put up and it was put up for some nefarious ways, in other words, don't leave out the breaching methods roles with it too. And then perhaps the times is not nefarious. There was slavery entrenched in the northern states that, for example, General Lee was against, clearer than day, because every human being is against it, black pupils. It was entrenched northern colonies and southern colonies with more than one country. It wasn't just England rolls with slavery. And they didn't have possession of their own name. That's why they don't remember the history of English. In other words, they prevent and change our short words when we use them. The same ones that are pretending with passions and emotions that they believe, like, that good writing should be vigorous and concise, to use a sentence from Emmanuel Strunk and White, Essentials of Writing. In other words, there's only a list a little bit more long than is allowed to be typed. And when we do type long, in other words, I notice when I type things like just stay on the practice and things, they wipe off your Facebook page too, or you'll have computer problems. The agencies have roles with this and then denying it on a mass scale. That since they were kids, there are truths that are only true because a breaching method employed them true. Like how they're supposed to defend the integrity of the agencies. Our founders communicated that witch trials and slavery about things that we're not supposed to defend their roles with. In fact, we were not supposed to leave out their roles, though. I mean, leave out the breaching methods roles with their roles too, though. See, there was a hyperforeign that can be discerned where and how sickly distinctly the southern colonies and the northern colonies, more than 13, were entrenched with the same sickly non-distinctly too. Slavery, like with color, in ways that no one wanted, clearer than day. All exceptions in exception nature being used to hide that and having been used to hide that. All denials of that have inherent to, active to, and progressive to their logic and nature of reasoning demonstration of the same things. That's why it's also relative to where and to how Connecticut interbranch has been switching and forging names as collusion /S with names on all sides of criminal and civil cases in courts interstates, and the Ninth Circuit Court in the World Trade Center attack context itself involved with changing the date of papers that were brought to the court and time stamped, accepted by the court timely. Then they changed the date of it, switched it from inside the court next to the World Trade Center in the World Trade Center attack context right before it. And they showed them post-dated legal papers made to look like they were handed in late in the Manhattan court next to the World Trade Center towers. There were names at the World Trade Center towers, and there were names next to it tied to and as one's name Scalora too, as one's involved with Central Connecticut State University in Connecticut that have been involved with intercampuses with intelligences next to them too, as ones that are personally and professionally involved with intelligence next to Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. Timed collusion /S with them. Intercities with the names with predicate acts with the police on my street. They confessed the name Scalora involved with them. Sequence shifting and with predicate acts and switching names and forging names, falsified police reports, roles with some untimely deaths, and child sex offenders, leaders of kids, and with medical families next to the campuses. Whiting forensics increasingly has people involved with organized crimes with kids, putting kids and their family members to fake and change uses of like alcohol and drugs. They're putting fake things in databases. They're using all truths for lies. In other words, too. Increasingly, they put fake uses of drugs and they forge doctors' names against me with a Leahy family and one's named Lavardo from other areas involved with names of predicate acts on my street, like a Robert Rodriguez, and who brought up the principal upskirt Nature's campus to me. Also did the news when they were planting evidences with their sources and at corners of streets and of the principal child abuser's campus, with ones who also planted evidences with them all along Route 175 and at corners on Ridge Road. So it's increasingly to get important because these are ones increasingly. Another thing is their roles with predicate acts with a whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital's Institute of Living who also have roles with campuses like fire campuses with a whole bunch of different countries. There are proofs that the fire campuses have Russians and Americans together with them because of how peaceful, all natures of peaceful or proper directions to hide things and to lie about things are used to get away with other and to use truths as lies and to use identity theft, fraud, slander rules clearer than day with the black pupils, whites of eyes. Collusion stay because you're not. It's collusions because you guys are communicating other than what nature itself and then what our founders communicated. You guys have roles replacing in the subject matter, in the subject of the communications of James Madison and of our founders, the breaching method as a scientific value and pretending other. You have roles screening that. Andrew Weissmann. You have roles with the January 6th Commission involved with sequence shift cover-ups. Whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of ways the FBI has with New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page, with the Facebook page of Wethersfield Police, Whiting Forensics, all kinds of fake passions and emotions about what they think about other people type. There a whole bunch of people regarding that and a powerhouse gym. I have passions about the guy's name like that, so they would have to communicate about it. They brought it up. They demonstrated it to me. FBI director, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, has rules with people from Berlin and Kensington, too. And increasingly, this Anthony Agnew is involved with them on Facebook and YouTube. Also with child sex offenders, medical offenders, associated with Joshua Julian and a whole bunch of people with foreign and domestic military, too. You guys are making me put these names, and you're changing, you're refusing to identify themselves, the Wethersfield Police. Since I was a kid, put me fake conversations with them increasingly inter and intra-cities, involved with them. What are they doing with the Mazakawa Bakery? You don't pretend you know me, Mazakawa Bakery. Don't put your kids playing those games, too. You got Paul DeMoro was doing that, too, with Facebook. You guys, medical sexual offenders, identity theft, frauds, fake motivations for it. A whole bunch of little fakes pretending passions, emotions, and motivations with their at locations, increasingly all sides of issues. That's increasingly, because that's relatively the same ones fakes with differences like America's name or other countries' names. You guys are changing or faking our words about predicate acts. Get me off the fake conversations with WFSB as the value of predicate acts. They attach me to fake conversations with themselves and with others about the World Trade Center attack. And they have Saudis I don't even know the names of involved with them with that. And the Saudi attackers. And the ones who involved with Central Connecticut State University, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. They have the cousins, that the people that say they're the cousins of the Scaloras, also involved with people named Scalora on social media with them, with child sex offenders, leaders of kids, and medical offenders involved with it, and also with untimely deaths at Trinity College, and one associated with the one in my area involved with them. Even they made both of those up and the timing of it. He's the one that brought up the principal child abusers campus ticket to me first. They hid that by replacing what was digitally recorded and by faking it and forcing that on the kids and arresting me with harassment for calling the principal up. And I never even got to tell the principal what I recorded. I never even got to talk to him. He kept making more confessions and bringing up more names. And then he made a whole bunch of different phone calls. And every time I called back, he made more confessions and said more things and made up more fake things, more names involved that with past fake things. So, in other words, fake ties, fake nature, like a Mike Levine is involved. And then his name is Mike Levine. And then he tried to make, and Mike Levine's involved anyway, as one of the names along Route 3 recorded involved with the judicial branch offices with predicate acts and with people with Saudi Arabia tied to them at the sides of the Town Line Drive. There's where it used to be a Caldors, now it's a Walmart, and the land next to it is involved with like the side entrance, back entrance there. How it's an exception, it has something to do with a Mike Levine and his roles with proven child abusers, leaders of kids years apart, and people involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones that are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed he's involved with them with that. And with Saudi Arabia and with the news. Has something to do with that side of the place too. As one of the things that unites, like a John DeMoro, also fake things about me tied to there. I never saw him there either. In other words, he wanted me to go there, smoke a joint with him when I was in middle school. He's one of the ones that had been, I barely know him. He's increasingly, there was like, he has roles like a Heather Hansen reportedly confessed to my father something about a Joe DeMoro involved with her with a rape of her. And she had other boyfriends at the same time who were involved planting evidences on my street, and they had roles with home break-ins. I don't know if she told him that. They also had roles of wire crime acts and methods I recorded the Wethersfield police about. That's why they hid how I pointed the gun at Tony DeMoro and from my parents, and how he called the police, because they also had his brother breaking in the house, and they didn't know we were still there. And I don't know who the girl was. He was supposed to, was going to hook me up, but I didn't even care because I liked my girlfriend, but we were broken up. But that's because the FBI director also has roles with these people, and courts, judges, family members. The Britain Superior Court has roles with East Hartford locations associated with the court, including their roles with community resources training, and people with the black-white difference, and the females involved with the black KKK, Confederate flag theme, Latino theme, the Italian theme, Pakistani theme, Afghanistan theme, all at the same time brought up. And other countries and cultures. There's a Joshua Stryker is involved with planting evidences with my neighbors, per people at Trinity College, students and adults there. I can't get them on paper. They did a trick to make it look like I had a conversation with him as a kid and then as an adult. Sequence shifting. Day later, he demonstrated he's one of the ones involved with a conversation with syntax tied to a Dean Alford, involved also with people involved with some murders and untimely deaths at the same time. There are some probation officers associated with a Mike Oliver, who were involved with the murder of Greg Kyler. Even if it was made up, the journalists and their family members and the timing of the article and the names involved with it were involved with predicate acts anyway. Intercities connected, and whole predicate acts methods are recorded. A whole bunch of, like a Brian Silver and a Leahy family are one of the ones with medical and judicial and prosecutors with their kids involved with overt criminal enterprises, identity theft, fraud, slanders, putting fake transcripts in databases, pretending it through the mail, preventing people of response for things like World Trade Center predicate acts. Get me off the paid conversations with WFSB because they have roles intercities with it. Gail King has roles with the Gary Sasso. A whole bunch of people involved with whiting forensics with the Gary Sasso and Gail King in New Britain, Connecticut, and spots on the sides of Central Connecticut State University through time. Involved increasingly with people, there's ties between people tied to years apart, leaders of the Kids First Force, where they had time use / estimate roles. So there's a Justin Klavinskis. I don't know his brother's name. He's reportedly tied to the people at Trinity College with the name Oliveri and tied to the names a whole bunch of names tied to a Ray Collo and his educators in my grammar school and O'Brien family and some mayors who have been putting predicate acts in databases, wire crimes, a whole bunch of different police departments involved with predicate acts with them. And a roommate of Ray Collo, I don't know his name. It's something to do with their roles with people next to the news locations and next to the Capitol who've been stealing my identity and planting evidences at corners of streets near me. All exceptions in exception nature come with demonstrations of the same thing and sequence shifts. And these are names, roles that reportedly the cousins of the Scleros as one of the and associated with the people as one of the people next to the World Trade Center, including the court next to it, involved with all sides of that case, all sides of the case in the court next to the World Trade Center, and the court involved also attached to faked and changed words and collusions like with Officer Magnanos as one of the intelligence from East Hartford involved with the F.B.I, with other agencies too, and foreign and domestic military, and people involved with the collusions with the Saudi attackers, and with remote uses of America's identity and name and of Saudi's identity and name at the same time, because there's a hyper and foreign involved. Just as we could discern relative to the roles with the breaching methods laws that it forced even the states and has the states still. When we examine, there are all kinds of predicate acts with facts, methods, needs, natures, and identities of the law that defend, how they were raised to speak. Criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, campuses. Forgiveness is so we go by what is true always. Don't change in fake short words. Fix the news, predicate acts, WFSB. You have roles with a whole bunch of people leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context that are involved with you with those predicate acts after the World Trade Center. Those same names involved with you there were the ones involved with it intra-city and inter-city, intra-campuses and inter-campuses, identity theft, fraud, slanders, putting fake things in databases, and the black-white things, and with the responses to it, like there's a narratives regarding why I went and put a aggressive face to a black kid tied to a Mike Roberts, because the other kid from the years before involved increasingly with predicate acts with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, people with the differences rackets from other areas planting evidence on my street. In other words, and then it's their roles on off the state judicial branch offices too. See, years later, I learned that they should have followed the mandated law when there was a kid who used the name Bayrock. Now you guys are leaking too about how the name Bayrock was switched from where near the one of the elderly homes involved, which all of them are involved. But the 3 spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, and near that side of the golf course, where it's not far from the corrections office, no. But in other words, and that's a town line, Hartford Weathersfield. They had the Bayrock sign there. Now it's off of 2 Rod Highway. Increasingly people with 2 Rod Highway have roles with judges and prosecutors in a whole bunch of different countries, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, planting evidences against me at the same time. And with people from my grammar school I didn't have classes with. People I had classes with I didn't even talk with, like a Sal Sevilla, And then they have their kids on their Facebook pages with their pictures, including with mayors, lying about their motivations, pretending they're about free speech. Force equality of free speech, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, as criminal insidiousness, natures of positive treatment and negative treatment. Fix the sequence shifts in the names switching and forging cops with the news at the same time, and the courts get them on paper, please. Judge Napolitano, have them say sorry too. And the Britain Superior Court's got their Facebook page involved with this, putting fake ties to me, fake nature ties to me. All exceptions, they make fake exceptions too, consciously. They're trying to pretend other and plant evidences. When you ask them questions properly, they'll tell you the truth. Get them out of the World Trade Center. Or let's just show what the World Trade Center has been involved with. All kinds of natures of organized crime. All kinds of natures of industries that can't defend themselves and afford discern what constitution unabridged and why and how we have rights that are too numerous to have to list them is value manifested the way it actually is. They can't have it